What's a podcast? I like your show.
How did I get here? Welcome to the Shipe Sports Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Shipe Sports Talk Show. This is our NCAA Tournament Preview Special Show 2016, and we're back on air after a couple weeks of being off, thanks to my work schedule that has changed recently for some odd known reason. Joining us always, our co-host and producer, the best producer in the world, Paul.
Well, yeah. Give me a second.
Why? What's going on?
For some reason, your image is stuck. How's that?
Chris is not stuck. Why is
Chris
mine
is not stuck. You're stuck. Here, let me see if I can
God.
fix it.
Oh, and it's a bad picture too.
Let me see.
We're
What
still
is going on?
Sorry, everyone, for that.
This is
Sorry for that. We'll keep it going though. And also joining me in studio is Chris Cordova.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Doing good. Not joining us today is the coach. He is home sick in bed. He's probably watching the computer, so I'm sure he'll join us. He'll probably be texting me throughout the show.
Coach, we missed you, man.
We're still frozen. All right, but this is our tournament special show. Before we start, they can still hear me, right?
Yeah, they can still
Okay.
hear you.
Yeah, as long as I can hear you.
That's
then
what
you're
happens
good.
when you don't do something for 3 or 4 weeks.
We're back. We're back.
We're back. All right, we're working.
You're
now.
moving now.
We're
You're
moving
actual.
now. All right, good. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Be sure to go on the Shipe Sports Talk Facebook page and also my personal Facebook page. I posted a link for our tournament bracket challenge. We did one last year. You know, we got up to 30 people, so I'm hoping to get the same amount this year. So we'll get into that. Chris is doing it. Paul, you're gonna have to sign up and do that, and you
Yep.
have until Thursday at 12. So maybe I'll send you the thing tonight.
Okay.
And also, we have 6 spots left for the baseball fantasy. So far, me, Chris, Brad, and Guillermo in it. So we have 6 spots left in that. And that link is also posted on the Facebook page, so you can look out for that.
Cool.
So let's go ahead and dive right into the
we
NCAA
are.
tournament. First off, I want to talk about the selection show for the tournament. Was probably the worst selection show I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
It was 2 hours long.
Oh, God.
Yeah, usually they do, okay, this is the East, South, West, and they'll just put the teams up. This one, they go, this is the number 1 seed. These are the 2 seed. It just dragged out. And for God forbid, please take Charles Barkley off that. He doesn't even know NBA. Do we really have to hear him talk about college basketball? I mean, just listening to him, it makes me want to blow my brains out. It was that bad.
So wait, what's happening?
Charles Barkley,
Barkley's-
he's doing like, I guess, analyst for CBS for the tourney, and he's sitting there like, well, I really like Oregon. You know, Oregon's good. You know, I'm from the West Coast. I live in California, but for some reason I like Oregon. And he goes up and he's like, you know, Oregon can do this and that, and it's just like, dude, what are you even saying? Have
He's
you
not
even,
a good comment.
like, have you even watched Oregon? He's like, well, I live on the West Coast, and you know, we watch Oregon out here. Literally, that's what he sounded like talking about Oregon. It's like, dude, really? Like, you may know about Oregon, but no one else knows. Literally, Oregon hasn't gotten any exposure on the East Coast or anything at all. Like, they don't get the exposure like, let's say, a Duke or a Kentucky has.
Yeah.
Because it's like their first full year of being actually good in college basketball. Normally, Oregon's known for football. Not for
Gotcha.
college basketball. So it was very interesting, and then Barkley just made it even worse for that program.
I do like their basketball court, though.
I haven't seen their basketball court.
It's just, you got to look it up, man. It's crazy.
Is it all green?
It's, I don't know. You have to see it. I can't just explain it to you. It's something you have to see.
All right, I'll take a look at it. So, and also, just like the show itself was just, it just felt like it dragged out for 2 hours long. Like, just do what you normally do. Do it at 7 o'clock and just go by region. And then also, some of the teams they left off this year were completely ridiculous. Syracuse don't belong in this tournament. A couple of the big major conferences, they got teams don't belong. What's that? Mammoth, I think that's their school.
Mm-hmm.
They had some good wins earlier in the year. They had some wins earlier this year, against teams that weren't really in the tournament themselves, but still, for a mid-major program, they were good wins. What do you tell those kids? Like, hey, your regular season doesn't matter. You didn't win your conference tournament. We don't want you in there. Mississippi State, I think, was another team that had a good year. Vanderbilt had a good year. I mean, it's just the committee takes too much into big conferences. Look at the small guys. Those are the ones that make tournament runs and make a tournament special. Like Northern Iowa beating Kansas as an 8th seed. George Mason going to the basically all the way to the Final Four. Those are the teams that make the tournament. Those are the Cinderellas, because since they don't get to play the big major schools, you don't actually get to see what they can do. So basically, what we're going to have to do is, if you're a school like that, you're gonna have to schedule 2, 3, 4 games against a major conference just to get some exposure. Chris, what do you think about how they lack of mid majors? Do you think it's a shame that some of these schools didn't make it that should have?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is I don't know how they pick these teams. Really, I mean, it's such a confusing thing to me because, like you said, these teams that are a little bit smaller, I don't know how they don't get in with better records and better teams that they won against. It's very confusing, and this is for someone coming from who doesn't really watch college basketball as often as you do or as other analysts do. But for me, if even if you're at a smaller school or smaller division, whatever the case may be, obviously regular season competition may not be as tough, but your record is your record. I mean, that's a better record should definitely get a chance to get in the big dance for sure. I don't agree with that.
I think a lot of people can agree with you on that, and it's a shame that some of these schools didn't get in that should. And it's just a shame. I would love to see more of the. I mean, what more can you say? I would love to see more. Sorry, I'm trying to put on the Twitter or everything where you can check us out on Twitter at Shipe Sports Talk. So let's get into the tournament now. But first, before we get into the major thing, let's break down some of the local schools. And obviously, the one we have to start with is Maryland. Started the season very strong. They beat Georgetown, teams like that. Then they came across a UNC team that's a 1 seed, lost them 89-81. Really wasn't a bad loss at the time because UNC, at time was 9, but as you see now, it really wasn't that big of a loss. So they started the season very strong. One loss all the way going to where they started, Big Ten play, and then losing to Michigan by 3 points. You're like, maybe you'll hit a little roadblock here and there. Then they go on to lose to Michigan State. And then they come back with a very good win against the number 3 Iowa at the time. So there you go. Then after that, they go on a 5-game win streak, come across Wisconsin, which was a really bad loss, 70-57. And then this is where it hurt them. They lost to a really bad Minnesota team that was 68-63, and I was like, oh god, this is not looking good. Then you come back, beat Michigan, lose to Purdue, and then to finish the season, Indiana completely just annihilated them.
Peru.
I just said Purdue. Purdue.
It's not World Cup time yet. Not yet.
And then they lose to Indiana 80-62, and then they beat Nebraska in the quarterfinals of Big Ten, and they looked the best they've looked the whole month of March. March was a terrible month for them. February, and then you go against Michigan State semifinals. You lose 64-61. Michigan State at the time, number 2 in the nation. The problem with that is, I really think the end of that game was very controversial. You had Carter go up for a rebound, who was literally pushed out the way, no call. At the very end, Trimble puts up a last heave, gets slapped in the arm, no foul was called, and the refs run off the court. I've always said, if you ever see refs, umpires, NFL officials run off of something, probably means they did something, they didn't call something, they're trying to get out of there as quick as they can. I mean, what do you think about that? Let's say the way the refs reacted to that.
It might, and I've seen that before where, they call the bucket is good or the bucket is no good, and then boom, 2 seconds later you can't see a ref for a mile. I don't think it really comes down to that one last play, though. I mean, it never should. 3 points is 3 points. You could have gotten that at any point in this game. But I think you're right. I definitely thought there was a foul there. And I may be biased because I'm also a Maryland Terps fan, an alumni, but I agree with you. I think there should have been a foul called, and the fact that they said there was no foul and ran off is a little bit telling.
Yeah, I mean, it tells a lot about it, especially if you run off like that. But then let's just talk about Maryland as a whole in this tournament, where they're at. They're seeded number 5 in the South, and in that region you have Kansas and Villanova. Very, Jesus, Paul, I don't know what's going on with me today. 2 very good teams. They're looking at a second round matchup against Cal. First, you have to get through South Dakota. You don't want to lose to the 12th seed.
It's one game at a time here, sir.
It's one game at a time. But we're just looking at their region themselves. They have Iowa, the team that they know. Miami, ACC type, team they played 2 years ago. But let's just talk about Maryland themselves and Trimble, who we've seen he was a player of the year prediction for the beginning of the year, and his play has just gone down. And the problem with this team is they play the way Melo plays. If Melo has a great game, Maryland's going to dominate. If he has a terrible game, they could be bad. That's the thing about Maryland's tournament is.
And you hate to do that. You really hate to do that. What's going on?
Oh, Coach sending me a message.
Okay, gotcha.
But here's the thing is, if Trimble has a great March and a great tournament, they could go all the way to the Final Four.
Mhm.
This was a team that was predicted to win the tournament. So, I mean, that's the thing. If Trimble gets going, they could just cruise all the way through and be a 4th seed in the finals. If Trimble doesn't get going, one and done. See you, Maryland. Have fun.
I think
Another
it's-
year
I
without
think
the
it's-
Sweet 16.
Yes, and I think it's all about confidence and you
His-
know,
Mentally, he's shot.
yeah, I
He's
think,
like
and
the
I think-
RG3 of basketball in this area.
I think it comes down to that game that you had mentioned. Where was it? Against who did they lose against? To Wisconsin,
Mhm.
70-57, and then losing
To
to Minnesota right after that.
And then they did win-loss, win-loss,
yeah, I
win-loss the
think
rest of the way.
that was the beginning of their loss of confidence, and it's not necessarily their loss of confidence. Like you said, it's mainly this team flows completely through Melo Trimble, and you hate to be a team that relies on one player so often. I mean, because what happens if he does bad? Like you said, the whole team is not going to do bad. And I've seen a couple plays where Trimble shoots up a 3, and the rest of the team is literally just watching, seeing whether or not it's going to go in. They're not playing for the rebound. They're not trying to get back.
There's
into
another
defense.
problem. Their rebounding
Oh,
has
well.
sucks.
That's a whole nother.
You
That's a whole
just
nother
nailed
problem.
another point.
Yeah.
And you basically just did a segue to another one.
Yeah, it's
Their rebounding's horrible. I mean, look,
yeah.
rebounds 35.5 per game. Can you just take an estimate on what that ranks in the country?
I have no idea.
Just take a guess. Just any kind of guess.
50th.
Dude, you're way, way off.
Okay.
213th
Oh my
in the
God.
nation for rebounding.
Oh my gosh.
How bad is that?
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
The only thing they were in the top 50 is points allowed, 66, and that's 49. They don't have anything else in the top 100. Points per game, 103. Assists per game, 125. But the rebounding, 213. That's not going to win you a title
No, it's
at
not.
all. So I don't know if it's Diamond Stone's got to get going, Carter's down. You know, all those big guys got to get going. And here's the thing about Trimble and Carter. If they don't have a strong March Madness, they really need to consider coming back for one more year. They need to consider that, and it's probably better for them to come back. Because also, if you look at recruits that come in, if they see these guys back again, they may want to come here more than any other school. So, I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think if Trimble and Stone don't have a good tournament, do you think they should come back for one more year? Because Trimble's draft stock has just plummeted the past couple months.
I think so. I mean, I'm a big person on school and what you do after your professional career, you know, because that's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
I mean, how many NBA players play past, 35, 40 years old? It really,
Kobe.
it doesn't, well, there's one, okay? But there's a lot of mileage that gets put on their body, and what they do after that, or what they do with the money that they get during that NBA career, is they need to be smart with what they do with that. And I actually read an article earlier today, sidetracked, about how Kawhi Leonard, I think, he's still using coupons, still drives like a 1997
Look at Alfred
car.
Morris from the Redskins. Look what he drove.
It's not necessarily, you can call it being humble, but it's really about being smart. You know, this money isn't going to last you forever unless you're smart with it. And a $40 million contract, whatever the contract may be, if you know how to invest it wisely and save it, you'll be fine. You'll be set for the rest of your life. And I think that's where education comes in, because you probably will have a lucrative basketball career, but if you can just get that last year, and also, like you said, his draft stock took a huge nosedive with these past 8-10 games. So if he has a great tournament, I think he'll go. I think he'll definitely go in the draft and just ride that wave. But if he doesn't, if we're out, in the second round, because I can definitely see UMD losing the Cal. If we do, I think you have to stay.
He has to consider it.
You have to, definitely. You can't go off like that. I don't think you can.
Yeah, and Coach just texted me saying they all need one more year. They all need.
Yeah.
Which would be great even for Maryland.
I think so.
Because if I'm Trimble and Stone and I'm talking to each other, I was like, look, man, if we get our shit together and come back in, we could maybe win that title. There's a lot of players in the NBA.
We were
that
a one
left-
seed at one point.
Yeah, there's a lot of players in the NBA that left early that, I think sometimes regret, man, could I have won that title? And,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Carmelo got to win one. LeBron never got, there's one thing that Jordan has over LeBron.
Yeah, that's true.
LeBron, Kobe,
than rings.
none of them will ever have that opportunity to ever
No,
win
they
a
won't.
college championship. And I just think that's something in the NBA could say something like, hey, when you're sitting with your buddy in the locker room in the NBA, I did this in college. You could be like, well, I won a title.
Yeah,
I was player of
that's
the
true.
year. in
That's
the in
true.
the tournament.
I mean, with the way that this team started, like you said, they had one loss in their first 10 games or
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, that's something special. Not a lot of teams can say that. And this team definitely has a lot of potential. Gary Williams basically chose them to win this division. I don't know if I trust Gary Williams in his prediction, but I definitely see that this team has a lot of potential. It's just, can they play up to that potential in the spotlight? I don't know if they can. Not with the way that they've been playing these past 6 to 8 games. It's been back and forth, up and down, and right now the confidence is not there. If they can come out this first round and get a nice win, a dominant win, I could see us definitely having a chance against Kansas if we make it that far.
All right. Well, let's hop over now to the other local team that we never really get to talk about much on the show, and they're the 4th ranked team in the nation. That's the Virginia Cavaliers.
Mm-hmm.
They just came off a loss to North Carolina in the finals. It wasn't real. It was close game.
Yeah.
But let's look at their resume so far. They start off the season with a loss to George Washington, which doesn't look that good. But then they come back. They beat a West Virginia team. They beat Villanova, which right now Villanova's a
2 seed, I think.
so that looked pretty good.
Yeah.
They actually beat Cal by 1. They beat a Miami team that was ranked 8th at a time. They beat a Louisville team who would be in this tournament if they didn't do a self-imposed ban on themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the coach wanted to get strippers for everyone and hookers.
Hey, I can't blame them.
They lost to a Duke team, which they actually beat Louisville twice.
Yeah.
They beat them. They lost to Miami late in the season to avenge against that in the play. So I mean, they really did pretty good this year for themselves. Like I said, that's another team that's not pretty good in rebounding. They're worse than Maryland at 329.
Yeah.
But here's the thing for Virginia: defense. Where do you think they're at in defense?
I'm looking at it right now. Points allowed.
Second in the nation.
Second in the nation.
How do you? What wins championships? As they always say.
Well, offense. A really good offense.
But
or a really good defense.
Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
They're led by Malcolm. God, I'm gonna butcher his last name. Progdon, averages 18 points a game, which is really good. Their leading rebounder Anthony Gill averages 6 rebounds, and he averages 13 points per game. So they're doing. So they got some people up there in the front courts that can do damage. They have people in the back courts that can do damage. And I think this is a team that you probably in the local area may have to look out for. The bracket, but here's the problem: is they're the 1 seed in the Midwest, and the only roadblock I personally have them with is an Elite 8 matchup with Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State is a very pissed off team right now. They didn't get a 1 seed.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought they deserved it over Virginia.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if they go to the Elite 8 against Virginia and they're like, look, we deserve this more than you? They may completely just demolish Virginia. So I think the only roadblock Virginia actually has will be Michigan State.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And I heard something on the radio also that I think Michigan State has beat Virginia the past 2 times that they've met in the tournament. So that could certainly work in Michigan State's favor. Just like you said, they're pissed off. They didn't get the number 1 seed. But I think it can also go the other way in saying if Virginia can get to that Elite 8 and face Michigan State, they can say, look, we're not going to let this happen 3 times in a row. I would take that as personal motivation. If this same person has beat me twice in a row and I have my opportunity now, I definitely am going to do everything I possibly can do to get past this team. So,
well, they got to have that thinking definitely against this Michigan State team.
Yeah.
This Michigan State team, it's out for blood.
I think so.
They're very upset.
And they're a great team, too.
I mean, they beat Maryland, they beat Maryland by 3, or so. But, through the Big Ten tournament, they just kind of went through it a little bit. I think they beat Purdue with very ease in the final.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a hungry team that thinks they deserve better than where they're at.
And I think, yeah, I mean, it's very close. I really didn't know who to pick, Virginia or Michigan State, for that Final Four.
Well, Michigan State's actually going to, well, we'll get to that.
We'll get
We'll
there.
get to that. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to shift to the individual regions, and we're going to talk about the 1 seeds right now through every bracket, region, and see where they could end up at and see what roadblocks are in their way. So first, let's go with the South, which is Kansas, where they're with Maryland.
Yep.
Personally, I think a roadblock could actually be, I have them playing Maryland in the Sweet 16. Like I said, if Trimble, Stone, all them are moving, this could potentially be a roadblock for Kansas. But like I said, we have to see what Maryland shows up in March. If it's the Maryland that's been there the late February and they would somehow play Kansas, Kansas will blow them out the water. But I really think the biggest roadblock for Kansas will probably end up being Villanova.
If we play like you just said, we won't even make it there.
No, probably.
We won't even make it against Kansas.
I'll try and give them at least some credit.
Well, yeah, and I think, like you said, it's one game at a time. We have to face South Dakota State first. But if we get past those first two teams, I believe that we'll have enough confidence to at least show up to this game and not be blown away. And I think it's possible. But you're right. I think Kansas probably will win that game. And then they have a tough test against Villanova. If Villanova can make it, I think past Arizona.
All right, well, let's go ahead and do the South. Who do you have coming out of the South that will represent the South region in the Final Four?
Well, yeah, like I just said, I think Kansas will get past Maryland, get to the Elite Eight. At that point, I think they'll face Villanova, and I think they'll take it. I think Kansas will come out of that region.
Okay. All right, let's go down to the West. Where
What do you have? I didn't hear what you
I said
had.
Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Did I?
All right.
Yeah,
I don't
did I
know.
say Kansas? Yeah, Kansas.
Who do you have Kansas facing, though?
Where?
In the Elite Eight?
Villanova.
You think Villanova?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. All right, let's shift down to the West where we have Oregon, which, some people were a little iffy about that. Obviously,
Mhm.
like we said earlier with Charles, I think Villanova is a really good spot. My name's Charles Barkley. I
You mean
do this.
Oregon?
Oregon. I said Villanova. See what I'm
Yes.
doing here, man? It's been off for so long. But Oregon didn't really get too much exposure out here in the East.
Mhm.
I didn't really hear much about them. I'm sure you didn't as much on the shows or anything.
No.
I think Oregon is going to have the toughest road to the Final Four as number one. Because you got to think you have a Baylor and Duke squad who are 5-4, not too, they're not bad themselves. You have a Texas A&M program that gave, and then you have Oklahoma who probably has the player of the nation playing for them right now. So, I think, I hate to say for Oregon, I don't see them getting out of the Sweet 16 in my bracket. I don't know. Where do you have, how far do you have them getting?
Yeah, I have them losing to Duke.
You have them losing Duke?
I have them losing to
I actually have them losing to Baylor.
Where are you at?
I have Baylor beating Duke and then Baylor.
Oh, okay.
getting it.
Okay.
But like I said, Buddy Hyde held, I don't know how to say his last name, 25 points per game. Like I said, probably the best player in the nation. For Oklahoma down is the 2 seed. So I think really Oklahoma probably has a little easy road. I actually have some upsets in this region. I have Northern Iowa actually going to the Sweet 16 to play Oklahoma and losing to
Really?
them. That's
Okay.
my for some reason Northern Iowa always somehow has a really good tournament. I don't know what it is. They bring it during March. And that's what you need. So I actually have that happening. So my Elite Eight matchup here is Baylor versus Oklahoma. Who do you have in the Elite Eight matchup?
Elite Eight. I actually have Oregon against Duke, and I have Duke winning that. I just feel like with the Coach K, this team is not the same that he's had in the past, but with a coach like that, an elite coach like that, I think you can do anything with the team that he's got. And I got Texas A&M and Oklahoma, and I think Oklahoma is going to take that. And ultimately, I think Oklahoma is going to come out of this region on top.
You have Oklahoma coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I have.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's go over to the other side of the brackets. And let's go to the East where we have North Carolina as a 1 seed. And this is my 1 seed. Really, Oregon, they have tough, but I think UNC has the toughest Sweet 16 matchup. Because what could be waiting for them is Kentucky, which I do have that matchup in the Sweet 16. The 2 seed, you have a Xavier. I really, Xavier, the conference they play in, so-and-so, I think. Xavier really doesn't make it that far for me. I have them bouncing out of the round of 32, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I have Wisconsin with the upset in the round of 32.
You think so?
Yeah, I have Wisconsin with the upset.
All right.
I like, you gotta go with the upsets with these things, man. So I have Wisconsin, and then I have UNC beating Kentucky. I have UNC getting past Kentucky. Kentucky, I think, is a young team. They always get it going in March, but Roy Williams has this North Carolina team playing on a whole different level right now. They've had, obviously they had the marquee win against Maryland earlier in the year when both of them were in the top 10, top 5. So I like North Carolina. I have North Carolina and Notre Dame, the ACC rematch. 2 teams, not obviously the final, but, the rematch they had in the semifinals playing in the Elite Eight. Who do you have?
This is also one where I have North Carolina coming out on top. But I actually kind of have, like you said, an upset on this one. I think West Virginia is going to be in that Elite Eight. I don't know. I just like the defense that they play. I think it's a really tough and aggressive defense, but I really don't see them getting past North Carolina, like you said. So
Okay. Well, as I
that's
go
what I
on,
got.
well, I have on North Carolina, Notre Dame. I have North Carolina winning. Early in the year, they lost to Notre Dame 80-76, and then when they played Notre Dame in the semis, the ACC, they beat them 78-47.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go on to beat Virginia by four. So should be very interesting matchup there. If in my bracket, if they come down to each other, it'll be 1-1 series tied. So we'll see what happens there. So I have
Mhm.
North Carolina come out on top. Let's go down to the Midwest where we talked about Virginia has the 1 seed, Michigan State's the 2 seed. Do you have any upsets in this bracket?
I do actually.
I have 2.
What are your upsets first?
I
want to hear yours.
I have Iona beating Iowa State in the first round, and I have
Really? Okay.
Gonzaga getting to the Sweet 16. I have Gonzaga upsetting Seton Hall and then upsetting Utah.
Yeah, initially I had Gonzaga beating Seton Hall as well. But once I did a little bit of research, I saw the wins that Seton Hall had, especially recently in the tournament. I mean, they beat Xavier. I forget the other team that they beat. Who was it that they beat? Either way, they beat a couple two pretty big teams that are ranked pretty high right now. So I actually have Seton Hall beating Gonzaga. But in terms of
They beat Providence too.
yeah, I mean, actually, you know what? I don't have any upsets in this one. No, I don't. I have Purdue going against Virginia. I have Seton Hall against Utah.
You're talking about upsets. Seton Hall beat Xavier and Nova in their
That's
conference.
what I'm saying. Villanova.
That's-
Exactly.
They
That's
beat
what
Xavier
I meant.
twice. Oh man, you're starting to make
That's
a
what I'm
believer
saying.
out of me, man.
I think Seton Hall will beat.
But here's the thing, though. They lost to Nova in the conference championship.
Uh-huh.
Nova beat them twice, and they always say it's hard to beat a team 3 times.
Exactly.
It always is. So they
Mhm.
got Nova, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
I like it. For
I
some
feel
reason,
like
I've
they're
always
just riding that wave. So
I like Gonzaga. I don't know why. I feel like they always can somehow get
Mhm.
going
That's true.
one way or another. So that's gonna be my upset. Then Iona last. I like Iona.
But ultimately, like you said, I think it's going to come down to Virginia against Michigan. And like you just said, it's very hard to beat that team 3 times. It's not. They didn't play recently, but it's going to be in their head that they've lost to this team twice in a row. Well, not twice in a row, but twice in the NCAA bracket championships. And I have Michigan State on top. I have Michigan State winning that region, but I think that's going to be a fun game to watch. Michigan against Virginia.
I have
sure.
Michigan State on top as well. I
Mhm.
have them still being upset about what happened.
I can't wait to watch these at BWB.
Oh yeah, Buffalo Wings
Nice
and beer.
nice little plug.
In
So-
case you're watching, just letting you know, I'm sorry about what happened last Thursday with the Bonchon, but I do go to BWB every every Saturday after I get off work. Get their chicken Philly sub, pretty good.
Hey man, he knows Bonchon has some good chicken. The only thing with Bonchon is they don't have all the awesome sauces that BWB has. Bonchon has like 2.
Garlic Rooster is my wife's favorite.
Still darn good, but BWB.
We actually get a bottle of the Rooster Garlic to take home. Like
Do you really?
they mix it for us and we take it home.
Oh,
Like
Yeah,
a,
you
like a
can do
full fledged like an actual bottle.
for where for
BWB.
yeah he sells all his sauces.
I didn't know that.
They also are a sponsor of the show, and we do live shows there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the Final Four. I have Kansas versus Oklahoma, and I have UNC versus Michigan State. Who do you got?
That's exactly what I have.
God, man, we just picked
Exactly
the
what
same
I
thing, didn't we?
have.
Good Lord.
The rest is all different, but that's what we have in the Final Four.
So I have Kansas coming on top against Oklahoma. I think the player of the year, that guy can only take you so far on one player's back. I like Kansas as a whole team. They're the top overall seed in the tournament,
100%. They're the most complete team.
and it's hard to go against that.
Mm-hmm.
I have them actually going against Michigan State. I'm going to say Michigan State's going to ride the whole we should have been a 1 seed thing, and
Mhm.
Tom Izzo knows how to get that team to play in March. So I'm gonna have Michigan State riding the high of that they should be there the whole way. So who do you got?
I have the same exact thing.
What?
I have the same exact thing. The Jayhawks, they have the most complete team in the nation right now in terms of college basketball. They could probably compete in the NBA level. What do you think? I think they could beat a couple teams.
You know what? Any team in college can beat the 76ers right now.
Yeah, see, there you go. So I have Kansas definitely beating Oklahoma. On the other side, UNC. They're gonna be a great team this year. They're gonna be a tough team to beat. But like you said, Michigan State, they're angry, and they're a great team right now. And that coach is certainly a coach that can get them riled up and get them to where they need to be. And I think this is the final thing. The final piece is, I think, where we differ. So
I have Michigan State winning the tournament. I have Izzo getting this team where they need to be, where they always are in the Finals Four, where Izzo just knows how to make this team win, and I have Michigan State winning against Kansas.
I have the exact opposite.
Boom, boom, boom.
This is where we should bet a beer on it. Let's do it.
Will it be after Easter? Okay, I'll be good to go. Yeah, we'll bet it in. I gave up alcohol for Lent. It's actually working pretty good.
Yeah, let's do it. I don't mind doing it.
You know what the worst thing about giving that up for Lent is when you have like 10 beers in your refrigerator and you can't even touch them. They're just sitting there.
Yeah, that's not good.
So we both have. So you have Kansas, I have Michigan State.
Yep.
All right, I'll
Beer
take that.
abuse.
I'll take that beer on you.
But I think what you have to look at in terms of the numbers is, I think the last 10 NCAA championships, either a number 1 seed or a number 3 seed have won.
Oh, so you're trying to say because Michigan's a 2 seed?
Michigan's a 2 seed. The only other time was Connecticut. I think they were 7 seed. But other than that, it's been a 1 or a 3. So I'm going to go with the number 1 seed in this time. I'll bet on that.
You'll bet on that?
I'll bet on that.
Hey, what are we watching right now? This is the NIT?
These are the NITs. This is like the second-rate tournament where if you didn't
If you didn't make
the bid one, this is
big
what they
one.
put you in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the NCAA tournament has not started yet?
The playing games are on right now. Like right now,
technically it has started.
it's the playing games where like the last 4 out, they get to try to get their way in. So each bracket each have 1 playing game. So right now, today you have FDU versus FGCU, which is playing right now, and FGCU is winning 30-13.
Okay.
And later tonight you'll have Vandy versus Wichita State.
And okay, so those winners
Advance to the tournament.
get into the
Mhm.
tournament.
Yes.
They're playing for their.
They're
their
on
ticket right now.
True TV. I mean that.
Hey man, True TV is a great channel.
They have
It sounds like a channel that. Never mind, I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to get sexist on the show.
no, actually, the
Sounds like a
opposite.
Lifetime channel.
It's a more of a
Is it-
man like a man like they have like the dumbest,
I've never heard-
funniest funniest people. Like,
Oh yeah,
shows or
they have
something
one of
like
the
that.
best shows on TV right now, which is Impractical Jokers. Have you guys seen that show?
No.
Oh my gosh, you guys need to watch that show.
Does anyone know what channel it is on Verizon?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
You're getting there. It's in the deep 600s for sure.
Getting close. But so the tournament starts this weekend? I'm guessing, right?
It starts
I
Thursday.
think it starts
There we go.
Thursday. Yeah,
Thursday. Okay.
that's
Okay.
the Game Show Network, sir.
Starts Thursday at 12 o'clock. Luckily, I get off at 2 o'clock on Thursday, so I'm gonna jet on home.
Mm.
Friday, I gotta work 2 to 10, so it's like, But you know what the great thing is? CBS Sports app. Don't tell my boss. Thursday and Friday are the most called out days in the year for work, as you
Yeah.
can imagine.
Fridays for sure. I can see that.
I would, if I could, I'd call off and just watch the games.
Nice.
Why not?
I get to telecommute on Fridays now.
So you'll be
that's
home
good.
watching.
Oh wow, yeah, you'll be there.
All right, so we did. Those are our tournament predictions. Before we sign off, I want to talk a little bit NFL. I know this is our March Madness special, but a lot of things happened since we've been on the air, so we could just cover that for about 10 minutes. I'm
It's
sure our
been-
viewers won't mind, will they?
It's been a really exciting offseason.
Let's
that's
go
for
with
sure.
first the Redskins and franchising tag Kirk Cousins for, 19 point something million?
Just under 20.
Do you agree?
With what?
The franchise tag on Kirk.
I agree. We need to keep him here.
Okay. Do you agree with the money?
I mean, you can't
You can't do
can't
anything about it.
do anything about it.
The money is what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you franchise tag somebody, then
Yeah, it's just that-
non-exclusive or exclusive or
It's
whatever.
the average of the top 5 salaries this year or something like that.
Oh, is that how they do it?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
that's how they get that number. It's either top 5 or top 10 for quarterbacks for that position. So,
I think it was probably after learning like how much he was going to make if they franchise tag him, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
a no-brainer.
he was going to sit there and wait, and he wasn't going to accept anything less than that because he knew they're not going to let him go.
right.
I-
Yeah.
That's exactly what he did. I think the Redskins came in at 12 or 15 million, and like you said, once you know that number is basically 20 million, why would you accept anything less?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, so we have that happen for the Redskins. My team made some big splashes.
Yeah.
Well, one of the major ones was we went out and traded for DeMarco Murray. We didn't give up anything. We traded 13 spots down in the draft. That's all it was
That's crazy.
for DeMarco Murray.
Yeah,
That's not.
crazy.
And you know what? I think he'll be fine in our system because they've already said they're going to run more I formation with him, which is what he is. They've said he's going to be a workhorse.
He's a power back.
He's going to be
Yeah.
a workhorse for Mariota. The Eagles system didn't fit him.
No.
That's all it was. Speaking of the Eagles, they were just getting rid of everything that Chip Kelly did.
Mm-hmm.
Trade away Byron Maxwell, Chico Alonso to the Dolphins. The other big news, Brock Oswald, basically said F the Broncos and went to the Texans, which was stupid on him. I think it's
He went
dumb.
to the money.
He went for the money, but I want Reigns. Tell you, man, I'll take money. Well, I think the Texans
made a
some
good splash
moves
too. They got Brock Osweiler, who I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, at least from what I saw.
No,
but
that defense carried him.
He is much better than what Houston had already.
They got Lamar Miller.
And then they just added Lamar Miller, who is a great running back that Miami just did not utilize to replace Arian Foster. And
I'm sure Jose's not too happy about that.
Yeah, he didn't pay attention, but yeah, I know he's not happy about it. But I definitely think that is a pretty good replacement for losing Arian Foster. Well, not losing, but they got rid of Arian Foster. I understand the injury issues and the age, but bringing in Lamar Miller is definitely a strong replacement.
You know what team has made the best moves?
Who do you think?
The Jags.
You think so?
I think the Jags. I think the Jazz could win the AFC South. I'm a Titans fan. You're coming from a Titans fan.
Right.
They could win the South. I mean, you go out and you get Malik Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
You have Fowler Jr., who's going to be coming back after injury, so that'll bulk up the line. They went out and signed Prince Akumura. They get Chris Ivory in there to go with T.J. Yeldon. That'll be a good two-back tandem. So I mean, they went out and made moves. You already got Julius Thomas in there. You already got Allen Hurst, Allen Robinson. You got Blake Bortles. They're really putting together a really good team in Jacksonville, and they had the money to spend.
I'm really interested to see how Blake Bortles comes back this year because he had a really up and down season. Fantasy-wise, statistic-wise, he did well, but it was mainly like in garbage time.
Was this his third or was this his second? Was he a rookie last year?
I think he was a rookie last year. 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I think this year was his second year. So I'm definitely want to see how he progresses in this third year, especially with the two receivers that he has. Those Allens will go crazy this year, and I certainly will pick one of them.
They also got the
top 3
safety
rounds.
Gibson from Cleveland, which is not a bad pickup.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Raiders making some good signings as well.
Yeah, that's another team to watch. Definitely with was it did he win Rookie of the Year, Amari Cooper?
I think he did, because I think Mariota was probably going to get it, but then Mariota was hurt.
Yeah. So I mean, with Cooper and the emergence of the quarterback, they're going to be interesting to watch. It won't be the old Raiders that you're used to. They're finally going to start being competitive.
They went and got Bruce Irvin.
Mm-hmm.
They got Sean Smith. So I mean, they went out and they made some pretty good moves too. So this should be very interesting to see what happens with the NFL this year. There's some really big moves that were made. The Giants spending money.
Yeah, they did.
It's funny that you never see someone with a rookie coach go all in. They went all in. They're in a win mode. I think it's because where you're at. You're in New York. People want you to win. And Redskins went there. Keenan Robinson signed there. They went and got Oliver Werner, Damon Harrison, Janoris Jenkins. I mean, they really went out and put money. You re-signed Jason Pierre-Paul. So, I mean, you know what team. I mean, I think the Dolphins took the biggest hit with losing that defensive end because he's young. He was only like, 25, 26?
Mm-hmm.
So this should be interesting. I mean, they went really big on defense because they had a horrible defense last year.
Sorry, I mean, if you guys are going to continue on that team, but I want to know
Go ahead.
No,
what's his name? RG3 is heading up.
he's
Isn't he
doing-
somewhere in New York or something like that? Someone's looking at him?
He's doing what we're doing right now. He's sitting and just probably not doing anything.
He was visiting with the Jets.
Okay, that's
he
what
was
I was
visiting with the Jets.
I think the best fit for him would probably be the 49ers if they trade Cap.
That's if they trade.
Did you
Cap.
hear what they won for Cap? A second round
yeah,
pick?
I was gonna say
Are
a
you
second
kidding
or
me?
Third, I think, right?
You're going to ask for a second round pick for a guy you benched.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think them bringing in RG3 is more of a ploy to tell Fitzpatrick that, hey, we don't necessarily need you. We're looking other places.
Well, the Broncos need a quarterback.
Well, the Broncos do need a
You
quarterback.
know who'd be great for the Broncos? Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, but
Fitzpatrick kind of showed last year what he could do if he got some better weapons.
if he had a team around him.
And he has a team in the Denver.
Yeah.
In the Denver.
In
and
the Denver.
Broncos.
in the Denvers.
Because honestly, right now the Broncos they may just have to draft or do something because they're running out of stuff.
Yeah.
Osweiler really put them in a hole.
Yeah, but I think it was it was a tough situation. I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to leave Peyton Manning on the bench on his possibly last ride?
No, I'm using Peyton in the playoffs. Someone
That's
who's
what
proven
I'm saying.
himself. Yeah.
Someone that's proven
I don't know
himself,
why he got
someone who's
bucketed over that.
Yeah, I mean, that it is what it is.
Who was that? Osweiler, you said?
Yeah. He went 5-2, but his stats weren't like amazing. There were
Right.
defense really helped him out.
Yeah, okay.
Did you see?
And the defense really won that whole
Yeah.
championship as well.
Did you see the meme I put out?
Which one?
It has Peyton saying, "I'm coming out of retirement to play for the Houston Texans."
Oh,
and
yeah.
Brock Osweiler was like, "Mother."
Yeah, that was funny.
That was great. But then do you get to a point where John Elway goes to Peyton and say, "Look, man, I know we already did all this press conference and everything. I know you announced it. I need one more year out of you."
Yeah, right.
Do you
That's
have a
not-
situation where John
No.
Elway goes and says, "Give me one. You see
can't.
our defense. You got to give me one."
No way.
Can Peyton even do that now?
I mean, what?
Do you think Peyton can even come out to even do that after everything that's
No.
If you're Peyton, should you have waited to see what
Well,
Osweiler does before you retired? Or
Didn't Brett Favre do that?
Yeah.
yeah,
Didn't he retire and then all of a sudden the Vikings were like, yeah, let's
I feel like Brett Favre retired like 2 or 3 times. That's what it feels
but
like.
I mean, but you're John Elway. Do you call him and be like, "Dude, I just give me one more year. Let us draft someone this year. You'll be gone after this year. Just give me one more year. We still have the defense. Maybe we lost a couple here and there, but give me one more year, Peyton." I mean,
I
do you
wouldn't
do
put
that?
it past him.
I wouldn't.
I
I'd
wouldn't
do
put it past them, but I'm sure they have a special relationship already. So I think he would or could because of the relationship they have, but
Mhm.
I don't think Peyton Manning would come back.
I wouldn't mind Peyton becoming an executive for the Titans. They're talking about people really want him to be a coach. Just said ain't happening.
Let me ask you a question. Are we still on free agency right now? Because I want to
Yeah.
verge off that. All
Yeah,
right.
where do you wanna
Well,
verge off to?
when you're done, I
No,
want to
go ahead.
bring this
We're
up.
off it. Go ahead. What do you want to verse
All right.
to?
This has been a big question in my head for the past few weeks, month. How do the 49ers have such a bitter and sour ending with Jim Harbaugh? Hire this new coach. He gets a year, right? And then they let him go. He had a year, right?
Who?
The coach after Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah.
He had a year.
Mhm.
And then they hire another college coach in Chip Kelly, who also doesn't have a good rapport with the players. It's like the same thing. The reason they
white players.
but that's true. But what I'm saying is, how do you go from a coach that has a bad rapport with players?
Stop it.
He's got a bad rapport with the players. You let him go, and then you
in
bring
a-
someone else who is a college-style coach who also has a really bad rapport with the players. That doesn't make sense to me.
It
doesn't make sense to me either.
Doesn't
I don't know.
make
I don't
sense
know
to me.
what they were thinking. I really don't. I don't know, man. I mean, Harbaugh. I think he's happy where he's bad. I think Harbaugh deep down loves coaching college.
Mhm.
I mean, you saw what he did for college recruiting, man. He goes crazy. He was climbing up recruits' trees,
Mhm.
having sleepovers.
Yeah, he spent the night.
His recruit party had like Derek Jeter, Tom Brady. I mean, I think he's where he belongs is in college.
Mhm.
I don't know what happened with them. I don't know why some of the players had problems with him. I mean, for God's sakes, he almost took you to. He should have taken you to 2 Super Bowls. The dum-dum that fumbled the ball and that one when they played the Giants was an idiot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what happened with that. I really don't. Reports are gonna vary. Apparently one of my dad's friends is gonna take us up to Ann Arbor for a
Okay.
game. Maybe I'll ask him if I go to Michigan. I'll say, "Hey man, what
Hey,
happened?"
Yeah.
Maybe he'll answer.
Hey, yeah. Get your media credentials and see what happens.
Yeah, maybe I'll see what happens. Oh yeah, about that. The one that maybe helped me out with that is actually Hicks, Dwight.
Really?
They go up every year, so he's gonna try to get me going there. I think also they're gonna try to get something where I can go, maybe talk to Dusty Baker. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, man.
Be nice.
That'll be nice.
I don't see why we couldn't get press passes.
That'd be cool.
Right? I mean, for stuff like that, I don't see why we couldn't.
Yeah, but I'm sure you have to be with something big.
What?
Probably.
What? You don't have to be anything big. There's small papers and news outlets and
That's
sports
true.
stations. And
I'll
things
just show
like
them
that.
everything. Maybe I'll look into it. I'll call the Nats up and see what they say. Maybe just get me on the field just for one, even for just for a day.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what how
I wouldn't either.
you could. I don't know.
Time to start researching.
You could just point them to a link and say, "Hey, we do a YouTube show or a podcast. We're reporting on sports."
See what happens.
And yeah, you can't get I don't know if there's an association for reporters or something like that.
Well,
Well,
I'll
there
look
might
into
be.
it. Maybe we'll look into it.
Look
See what
into
happens.
See what happens.
See what else. In 2 weeks, we'll be returning on our new nights of Tuesday now, I'm assuming, because I work now. It's the only thing we can do.
Yeah.
We'll come back in 2 weeks for our baseball preview. So, Paul, I think it's time for you to take over.
Is it?
Yeah.
Man, you've got 3 days, right? Because Monday's OT3, right? Then Tuesdays would be Shipe Sports Talk. And I think Wednesday's your show, right?
Yeah, we haven't done mine in a while. I'm trying to get the guys back.
I mean,
in,
are we
but-
good for Tuesdays from now on?
Yeah, for
Okay,
now we're
there
good.
There we go. So
I mean, it's all right with me. So
Well, you
Paul
let us
loves
know.
doing this.
yeah,
It's fun.
it's pretty fun.
All right, Paul, let's
It
go for your
absolutely-
little shamil.
It's Shemizel. You guys know what that's from? You guys don't know what that's from.
No,
Anyway.
I don't.
I'm showing the Games of Thrones stuff.
Anyways, thanks for watching. If you are watching on the YouTubes, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like us on Facebook. It's Facebook.com/Shipe Sports Talk. You can tweet us your questions, your picks for the NCAA tournament. You can tweet those to @Shipe Sports Talk. You can email us shipesportstalk@gmail.com. Any way you can possibly think of, it's Shipe Sports Talk, and you'll be able to get in touch with us. You can visit the website, www.shipesportstalk.com, and you can find all the old podcasts there from the very first one to number 44, which is the one that you are listening to or watching right now. Let's see, what else? Did I cover everything? I think I got everything. Yeah, leave us comments, reviews, send us your questions, your concerns, your praises. There'll be a lot of those, I'm sure. And yeah, what else? I think that's it.
Just in 2 weeks, we'll have our baseball preview show where we'll cover, most of the Nationals, the Orioles. Why is that? Why are you putting that?
What's that?
Why'd you do that?
What are you talking about?
We'll have our preview show. We'll cover the National, Orioles, again, the local teams, and talk about how they'll do this year. Also, I'll put the link out again for
the
our
bracket.
for the bracket and for our baseball fantasy.
Okay.
Baseball fans, we have 6 spots left. Are you doing that?
I can try, sure.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
I'll send you the bracket one.
It's easy. I
Yeah.
got second place.
Yeah, he doesn't even know baseball.
Okay.
So that. Also on Mondays, tune into my other show, OT3, my new wrestling podcast. So tune into that.
Hey,
Fun.
you guys know you're wrestling, man. I'm impressed about you guys just spit off these characters like it's crazy. It's pretty awesome.
Hey,
They,
Chris used to be the same way back in the day.
Yeah, back when NWO was.
Who was your
hot.
was that your favorite? So this past week they did who your favorite
Theme song.
thing or
He loved
entrance
the
was?
Wolfpack.
Was it the Wolfpack?
And
Yeah.
who was your favorite? What was the
Definitely.
wrestler's name? Conan.
Yeah, Conan.
Ray Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio,
Who's-
Conan, Steve Nash. Was
Steve
it-
Nash. You
No,
mean
sorry.
Kevin Nash?
Kevin Nash.
When did Steve Nash start wrestling?
My bad.
All right.
Anyway,
Well, that's going to do for us today. Like I said, 2 weeks baseball preview, NCAA bracket challenge, and baseball fantasy. So for myself, Chris, Paul, and Coach over text messaging,
yes, Coach. Hope you feel better.
thank you everyone for listening. Enjoy the tournament and welcome to March Madness, everyone.
See ya.
Where are we going to watch it?
BWB, Buffalo Wings and Beer. Oh, he cut me off.
No, you're still.
Everyone go to BWB for all your March Madness needs. They have all those TVs everywhere, anything you need. And also for baseball, go to BWB. They'll cover all Nationals and Oriole games.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
I'm hungry now.
All right. Let's go eat.
I'm starving.
All right, see ya.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.